All right, what's up everybody? So this is gonna be a full leg, upper traps, lats, calves, and abs workout. So today what I'm going through is my mindset and what I'm consciously thinking about during each lift. I do wanna go through a little bit more of my training on this channel. So with that being said, let's dive into it. As you can see, the first thing I'm doing is a plat squat. So with these, it's a narrow stance about hip width or even slightly narrower with an elevated heel. So I'm standing on a couple of small plates. I'm giving these a go. As you can tell by the other angle, I'm not built to squat at all. And I've always gravitated towards leg press and low bar squats, things like that, that allow my torso to have an upper angle and engage kind of my glutes a little bit more. Is something that's always been more natural to me. So when it comes to bodybuilding, that's something you want to be aware of, because when I do a leg press or when I do a low bar squat, what ends up happening is my quads don't get worked that much. So what I have to do is intentionally and purposefully put myself in a mechanical disadvantage so my quads are the muscle group that's biased. So by elevating my heel, I give myself a little bit more of a knee flexion. By keeping my torso very upright and doing a high bar setup, this is biasing my quads a little bit more. And this is a learning curve for me, because it goes against my DNA. And there's a fine line between avoiding a lift because it's simply not built for you and avoiding a lift because it didn't feel right the first time. And in general, quad biased squats, aka a squat with a little bit more knee flexion, does not feel natural for me. I'm not ready to ditch them entirely because I don't think I have quite enough experience with actually training a high bar squat long term, and I do want to try that right now just to see how it feels, because I've always focused on strength in the past, and unfortunately that would always lead me down the route of a low bar squat, and eventually I'm only working my hips, my lower back, and my glutes with very minimal quads, and I'm bodybuilding, guys. I'm trying to get bigger, so I'm giving plat squats a go with a narrow stance and elevated heel. I think it's going to work really well now. But then again, we'll see. I do think at the end of the day, leg press and hack squats are just suited better for me based on my structure. And right now what I'm doing is a wider grip power shrug. So I do think power shrugs are one of the best ways to build your traps up. It's an incredible weighted stretch. You get a full range of motion, and you get to cheat a little bit on the way up. And for a muscle like the muscles in your back, like your traps or lats, for example, they can hold a lot more weight than they can contract, especially through a full range of motion. So having a little bit of a cheat in there, some assistance from the leg drive, makes a huge difference, and it really, really, really taxes out your traps. So I do think this is the best trap builder out there, whether it's a wider grip or shoulder width grip. They're both incredible. Yeah, these are great. So what I'm trying to do here is just go through a full range of motion, make my traps the primary mover for sure, but also use just enough leg drive to allow me to use enough weight to let my traps really grow from this. And your traps are a muscle that are built to take a lot of weight. They're built to go heavy and get a good stretch. So power shrugs and close variations to it are just, they're built for your traps. It will build your traps up like nothing else. 100% get them in your program if they are a top priority for you. What you're seeing here is a neutral grip pull-up. I like to make sure with these that I'm focusing on the mind-muscle connection with my lats. I have a controlled explosive positive, and then I like to have a slow to moderate negative. I don't like forcefully make it as slow as I possibly can, but I don't just drop myself down either. As you can tell, I'm also not going quite all the way up or all the way down. I find that for lats, and myself in particular, and I do think a lot of people experience this, the lockout isn't necessarily something that you need to do to grow your lats. Your upper back will be doing a lot of the work there, and your arms will be doing a little bit of the work there as well. And if I'm trying to grow my lats, I don't need that top 5 or 10%, and I don't need that dead hang, that bottom 5% either. So that middle 85 to 90% of the range of motion is going to be key if you're looking to grow your lats. And up next, what I'm working on is some rope crunches with the cable. Abs are never something I've targeted directly, so I'm just doing these for my exercise selection 2 or 3 times a week, and that should be the sweet spot to start to push some of my growth on there a little bit. As you can see here, I'm doing a little bit of calf raises. Abs and calves are muscle groups that I've neglected because I've always been told to get stronger, to get bigger, and unfortunately, these are muscles that don't really get involved too much in the big three when you're more powerlifting. So they're muscles that unfortunately have gotten left behind, and where it's easy to be lazy with these muscle groups, and the whole powerlifting and get strong at the big three to get big mindset has a downfall is it allows you to be lazy with muscles that are easy to be lazy with, and it kind of fits your bias. So I'll take full responsibility for not training them earlier in my career, but at this point, I've got a ton of years ahead of me to catch them back up. So I have no worries about it. They're not the highest priority for me anyways, but I'm still going to train them hard with the right bodybuilding mindset. So next set on neutral grip pull-ups here. Same thing, really just trying to feel my lats as much as I can, but also push them pretty close to failure. I usually leave about one technically correct rep in the tank on those. Sometimes I'll take the last set a little bit closer to the actual failure point. So I'm giant setting these with cable crunches and with the single leg calf raises. Cable crunches, as you can tell, my abs they're kind of weak within that range of motion. They're very strong isometrically from my powerlifting background, but they're weak going through an actual range of motion, which is a huge problem, especially when it comes to bodybuilding. So I think for the first time ever, abs are going to be somewhat of a priority for me. I'm not going to need a whole ton of stimulus to get them to start growing, so I'm just going to try and grow them the best that I can with the least amount of volume right now, and eventually, as they start to get a little bit bigger, I'm going to have to add a little bit more volume to continue on the growth. So up next, what I'm doing is leg extensions. I do like to do as many full reps as I can here and then take them past failure with partial reps. The biggest cue that I have in my head when I'm doing these is just to keep it strict and keep it consistent. It's very easy to kind of use an explosive half concentric, so in the bottom half, kind of forcefully kick the weight up, kind of catch it at the top and go on like a controlled but not really slow negative. So what I do here is I just keep the tempo consistent. I'm always moving at the same speed. This tires out your quads and makes sure you're not cheating. This isn't a movement you need to cheat on or anything, so there's no need to be doing that. Just go slow, keep it controlled. I like to think of a controlled yet somewhat forceful concentric, and then when you're lowering it down on the negative, go slow, let it challenge your quads, and that's 100% the way to go. Take it to failure if you're a beginner, and take it past failure if you're an intermediate or advanced with partials or a little bit of cheat reps. Those are totally fine. Up next, what you're seeing is a 45-degree underhand lat pull down. Incredible for the lats. For these, obviously, I like to go a little bit slower. Very good for just growing your lats and having a mind-muscle connection. Really good for the stretch too. So I do these, and then I do partials past failure as well. So that's where I'm at for my training. That's it for the video. Let me know if you have any questions.